What is going on YouTube? This is LA Prepper, and we're going to talk about a couple things today. The first one is an article that's been floating around the internet for a couple of days. Came out on Reuters on February 9th. Mad Max violence stalks Venezuela's lawless roads. So, been talking about Venezuela before. They are having have been having some very difficult times on an account of several factors, not really important to get into right now. But essentially, a lot of services have kind of broken down. Their economy has been suffering really bad hyperinflation. And yeah, they're having issues with food. So issues with food transfers to issues with trucks transporting food. People are not stupid, and they realize that if there's no food in the store, maybe they can get the food right from the truck, right? So I'm not going to go too much into this article. I will try to link it in my video. I'm not great about remembering that stuff. Save? Man, can't have two notepad windows open. That's kind of annoying. Okay, so says here, just a few days earlier, Aguilar said he sat terrified when hundreds of looters swarmed a stationary convoy. Overwhelming drivers by sheer numbers, they carted off milk, rice, and sugar from other trucks but left his vegetables alone. Isn't that funny? So there were 162 lootings in January. It's not clear if those are of markets or stores. Presumably that's any type of looting. That number includes 42 truck robberies. This guy's talking about... so the ORC director... Oswaldo Ramirez Consultores... That means something, I'm sure, but at any rate, he said that hunger and despair are far worse than people realize. What we are seeing in the roads is just another manifestation of that. We've also seen people stealing and butchering animals in the field, attacking shops, blocking roads to protest their lack of food. It's become extremely serious. 8 people have died in the lootings in January, according to Routers. Now this is something, there's another sentence in here that's really interesting. Right here it says, barred by law from carrying guns, the Andean truckers form convoys to protect themselves, text each other about hot trouble spots, and keep moving as fast as possible. Aguilar said that on one trip a man appeared on his truck's sideboard and put a pistol to his head, but his co-driver swerved hard to shake the assailant off. Jesus Christ. I mean, that's like out of a movie or something. That's not the kind of movie you want to be in, right? You know, guys pointing guns at your head. And it's such a crying shame that for whatever reason, you know, Argentina has passed laws that, Venezuela doesn't let the truckers defend themselves. I don't know if they think truckers are going to start, you know, robbing banks or, you know, what they're going to do with their weapons, but that's, you know, a lot of people really don't realize how fortunate we are in America to have a lot of our freedoms. To be able to drive a truck from one state to anywhere in the country, and by and large not being too worried about getting, you know, having locals blocking off a road, having swarms of people come and attack your truck. You know, generally speaking, that kind of stuff doesn't happen, right? Stupid ads coming up. But so anyways, just kind of want to get you all thinking about what happens when people get hungry. They go into fields, they slaughter animals, they kill each other over stealing food. You know, they kind of disregard the law. I mean, do you want to get shot because you're trying to steal a loaf of bread and the guy next to you wants that loaf of bread more than you do, right? You can almost guarantee that these people who died, it was probably over a TV or over a steak or over, I mean, it wasn't like they were stealing something that was going to feed their family for a year. They were stealing something, worth a few $100s, maybe worth a few $1,000s. Just such a tragedy. So there is the first story I want to talk about. The second story I want to talk about was this story about self-driving robots, delivery robots, that is, not vehicle robots, but little delivery bots from Starship Technologies. This is from Fox 5 in Phoenix. Oh, sorry. This is Fox 5 New York reporting about Phoenix. Anyways, Fox somebody, right? So what does this mean for preppers? What does this have to do with preppers? Well, I know at least one of my subs lives somewhere in Phoenix. Hopefully that sub is not working as a delivery person, because what would you do if this little SOB took your job? What if you were a high school kid delivering pizzas for a company, or you were working for a company that delivered groceries like Postmates, or maybe for a store? In fact, I would love to know what Postmates thinks about this, but these robots can work 24 hours a day. I don't think they have an issue with working at night. I don't know. If they don't work at night now, they will in the future. The cost of these, even if they cost a few $1,000s up front, all the deliveries that they're going to do, they're so much cheaper than having people do it, right? So you can't fight how much cheaper robots are than humans. It's kind of a son of a bitch, unfortunately, but you know, you just can't fight. You just can't fight that. Granted, there's more important things for human beings to do than walking food around. I don't think society is going to be worse off if high school kids aren't making $8 an hour or whatever carrying a pizza to your door. Like, you're not building a lot of character driving around delivering pizzas. I mean, just to be real, right? So, what does this mean for preppers? Well, as we see the increase of automation in the digital age, we see more people from menial jobs like this getting replaced by automation. That's more people on the streets, more people looking for food stamps, potentially more people wanting to raise taxes on you, not to get too political, but sometimes people that want services from the government, if they are told that you raise taxes and they're going to get more services, well, if they're the ones getting the services and not the ones paying the taxes, unfortunately, things tend to go in the direction of people getting the stuff and not so much in the direction of people paying for other people getting the stuff, right? Yeah, so gonna be a big societal shift. One of my subs who's pretty vocal talks about jumps, right? And I don't know if automation thing is going to create a jump. I kind of think it's eventually going to qualify for one. It might not qualify for one now. We don't have cars drive. At least we don't have a ton of cars driving around on the street. We have a few automated cars here and there driving around, but they're not like hundreds of thousands of them, right? But as we see more and more robots and more automation in factories working for Amazon, Christ, when they start driving cars, right? When cars become fully autonomous and most cities or counties are okay with autonomous vehicles driving around, all the people who used to do that, even all the Uber and the Lyft people, right? Eventually they're going to be out of a job, even though their job is kind of new to begin with. It's almost ironic that their technology brought around their job so quickly, and at the same time, technology is working to kind of destroy their job. I mean, I'm sure, I don't think Uber and Lyft are going to go out of business tomorrow or anything, but, they're either going to get on the automated vehicle thing or something. I don't know. So we're seeing slowly we're seeing these shifts in the economy. I've never seen an autonomous little food delivery robot. It would probably crack me up when I do. I've never seen a car drive itself. I've never seen a big rig drive itself. Although we do have a port, I believe, here in Los Angeles, I think that has a very, very high level of automation with container trucks driving around. But the bottom line is this creates societal tension, right? Our present society does not promise everyone a job. It really doesn't promise you anything other than, I guess, some public services, right? Like you can use a library. You don't have to own property or have a job. You can use a library. You can use public services. You can use a hospital, but you'll have a bill. They won't refuse you, but the collector won't refuse calling you either, or skip tracing you and all that. So in conclusion, do we need to be worried about robots coming to take our jobs or automation coming and our office job becoming obsolete? Maybe not tomorrow, but it's definitely something to think about when maybe for your own, if not for your own career path, maybe you're talking with your friends or you're talking, with your kid or somebody, maybe your kid says, hey, I want to get a job at, the grocery store being a clerk. If it's the only job that your kid can get, fine. If your kid's trying to make some money to buy some stuff, fine. But if that's like a job that they're sort of thinking they might be at for a while, considering that in the grocery industry you have to compete with self-checkout, people checking themselves out, so like with the machine, right, with the self-checkout machine, or self-checkout on the cell phone, and that's going to be a thing, even though it's not really that widespread right now. You have companies like Postmates and DoorDash that will deliver food. The grocery stores themselves have a service that delivers food. So what you're saying is you want to go into a marketplace where there's half a dozen other competitors all working to provide a service. And not only that, your part of the service is only a fraction of the service. Postmates will go to the store, get all the stuff, and deliver it to your door. All you're doing is checking it out. You're doing like one portion of somebody else's job, right? It's not even like a full job. It used to be a full job, but now it's sort of like part of a job because there are other people doing 3 or 4 jobs, all as part of their one new job, right? So not to get too much into semantics, but the point is you probably don't want to be encouraging anyone that you love to go into an industry where you have that much competition. I wouldn't want to be a cab driver. I wouldn't want to encourage anyone to be a cab driver right now. Or food delivery, or, even factory jobs to a certain extent. We're going to see a lot more automation in factory work. Basic office stuff. If you're doing really, really simple office stuff, data entry, answering the phone, those types of jobs have been automated and will continue to be automated at a continually, an ever increasing rates, right? Exponential rates. So I know we're not playing with fire, or I'm not showing you my knife collection in this video, but there are a lot of different reasons to prep. And one reason that I prep is because we're seeing big shifts in society, and it's going to be really awesome and amazing, to have stuff delivered to your door by little robots, right? But at the same time, if everyone doesn't get what they need, then you have, over 150 incidences of the public stealing from, society. People are getting hurt in these, like, imagine, a lot of people, when you think of lootings, you imagine that you're the looter, right? Most people don't imagine they're the business owner, unless you're a business owner, probably. But let's say it was 160 different little stores. It was probably, I don't know if they consider each store a separate looting, but at any rate, let's say 160 different stores. Presuming they kind of took, I don't know, the majority of stuff off the shelves before the owners were able to, if the owners were even there at all to defend the place, if they got the majority of stuff off the shelves, that's 160 different families that had all their stuff stolen, all their livelihood. It could have cost them they could have had 3, 4, 5, 6 months worth of income invested in inventory in that store, right? So it's not just like you're stealing 1 month of income from them. It took them several months of profit. If they had to buy everything in replace their entire inventory, that's many, many months of profit. And given how difficult it is to get supplies, you're not just putting them out of business for that day, you're kind of putting them out of business permanently, because to start back up again once everything is stolen, I mean, oh my gosh, it's got to be nearly impossible. Especially with the inflation, just makes it even more of a nightmare. It's not like, if you have a liquor store and somebody robs your liquor store, you can go down to Walmart, or I don't know how the reselling works, right? But you can replenish your supplies. But if you're in Venezuela and somebody robs your little corner store, you can't exactly go to the next corner store and expect to find what you had at some kind of reasonable price, without a line, without getting robbed on the way back. I mean, it's really jacked up down there. It is really jacked up. And I think recently, to end on a little bit more of a political note, I think Mark Rubio was talking about military coups in Venezuela, like he supports it, and kind of not thinking that that's super cool for him to talk about. But at any rate, thanks for watching YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time.